Fox News host Bill O'Reilly seems to think the rich are getting taxed too much while the poor are not. And actually, he thinks that the poor are not suffering here in America. No, it's actually rich people that are suffering in America.
So you can see, you have to be able to see. The taxes are everywhere on affluent Americans and business profits. But for the rest of Americans, things aren't so bad. Bottom 60% of wage earners pay just 2.7% of all federal income taxes. The bottom 40% actually get money from the feds. They receive payments called earned income tax credits. According to financial analyst Alexander Green, who works for the Oxford Club, the tax burden on business and investors drives down job creation and economic expansion. I believe that because I've cut back investing due to the heavy capital gains hit. Why should I risk my money? And I know small business people who will not hire because the feds are all over them with additional taxes and regulations. Yes, there is a big gap between the very rich and the working class here. But how much more can the government take from the affluent without crashing the entire free market economy? That's the real question of campaign 2016.
Well, I think the answer to that question is, since corporations and the wealthy are more profitable and income inequality is the largest that we've seen since the Gilded Age, since the last, Great Depression, I say there's a little bit more that we can take. And it's not just so we can just take it and give it to people who don't work. That's the misconception that O'Reilly's trying to paint. Oh, we're giving it to these poor people. Yeah, there is some income inequality, but look at me, I'm being hurt. When you tax me, I'm being hurt. I've stopped investing. Oh, okay, so since you stopped investing, that seems to be a problem. Because you're a selfish, greedy prick. That's the problem. Look, man, Bill O'Reilly is trying to say that look at us poor rich people. We're being taxed so heavily, my God. But he does this in a way, he presents incorrect facts and figures. And I've got a lot of data here to go through to pretty much debunk this poor me, I'm being overtaxed, and poor people have it just great. So I'm going to go through some of this data here. Now, recent data from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development shows that the United States is actually one of the least tax developed nations. Now, Bill O'Reilly is like, oh, we're the most heavily taxed nation in the world. Maybe if you're comparing yourself to the third world. Maybe. But according to developed nations, we're one of the least taxed. Now, there's more data. A tally of all taxes, and this is from the Citizens for Tax Justice, a tally of all taxes collected at the federal, state, and local levels reveals that in 2013, the United States had the fourth lowest level of taxes, and that's 25.1% of gross domestic product among the 34 OECD countries. So what countries are behind? What countries have lower taxes than we do? Mexico, Chile, and Korea collected fewer taxes as a percentage of GDP. The level of taxation in the United States is well below the 33.8% OECD average. There you go, Bill. You lied, you're completely wrong, and you're full of bullshit. But wait, I have more data that destroys your crappy argument. All but 4 of the 30 companies remained in the no federal income tax category over the 2008-2011 period. So basically, what's going on here is that there are corporations that he says corporations and businesses are overtaxed and overregulated. Well, I've got data here that shows not. 30 companies paid no federal income taxes over a period between 2008 and 2011. Just happens to be that time where he says that Obama has been raising their taxes. Interesting. And yet there are so many companies out there that didn't pay any taxes. Not only that, but over that 4-year period, 26 of those 30 companies had negative income tax rates. So, they actually got a refund check. Now, he slams on poor people for getting refund checks through the EITC. Now, that's funny because the EITC is a conservative idea to help people get back to work, to make work more profitable. They get a tax rebate, they get a tax credit for working. It encourages people to go back into the marketplace, to go back to work because it rewards work. And yet he's complaining about this. While these very profitable countries, 26 out of 30 most profitable American corporations, are getting tax refunds. Interesting. Now, of the remaining 4 companies of that 30, 3 paid a 4-year effective tax rate of less than 4%. What happened, Bill? I thought corporations were the most heavily taxed out of any developed country. I thought we paid the most taxes here in America, the wealthy. Turns out, not so much. Now, had these companies paid their full amount of taxes, the 35%, right, which is within that period, that's how much they should have paid. If they had, that would have brought in $78.3 billion to our federal coffers to be able to pay for some of these services. Now, you go on and on about the debt and the deficit, right, and how, oh my God, we have such a huge national debt, which, hey, it's true. We do have a big national debt. Well, that would have made a little bit of an impact into that, or would have been able to pay for other certain things like, I don't know, infrastructure. So here you go on that one. And not only that, but the Treasury Department had reported that corporate taxes fell to only 1.2% of our GDP over the past 3 fiscal years. That's lower than any time since the 1940s, except for one single year during whose first term? Oh yeah, that would be Ronald Reagan. Higher taxes during the first term of Ronald Reagan.